Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is September 1st, 2024. I am Stephanie Pulowski, commissioned lay minister with this church. I'm in my mid-40s with curly, brownish graying hair, and I'm wearing a polka dot jumper. Our minister, Reverend Kate Walker, is off today, so you have myself and Alice Carnes to lead the service today. You are welcome here. If you are watching now or in the future, you are welcome. If you're a longtime member or brand new, you are welcome here. We Unitarian Universalists are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We're a multi-faith religious community where all are welcome, diversity is celebrated, and questions are expected. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome. If this is your first time with us, we would love to be in touch with you. If you have not already done so and you're here in person, please go to our welcome desk in the atrium. If you're watching us on YouTube, visit our website. Just Google First Unitarian of Pittsburgh and sign up for our weekly newsletter at the bottom of the page. You're also invited to join us for social time on Zoom following this live worship. To get a Zoom link, please send an email to firstunitarianpittsburgh@gmail.com. Announcement for next week. Next week is our in-gathering service, which is always a really fun Sunday when everyone comes back. It's the start of RE, and I remind everyone to bring some water where we join our waters together from either our travels over the summer, our backyard, our kitchen sink, just to be a visual representation of us all coming back together. There also will be a potluck following the service and a picnic. Cross our fingers if the weather is nice. I invite you now to take a deep breath. Arrive in body and spirit and picture yourself connected to all others who are watching today and in the future. We turn to our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to light it at this time. On this Sunday before Labor Day, we light this chalice to honor all the labors that support our community and all the work that we do to make this world a better place. May this flame burn bright in your heart and mind as we worship together. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, hymn 134, Our World is One World.
Good morning. I'm Alice Carnes, a member of this church and of the worship committee. For those with visual disabilities, I'm a light-skinned woman in my early 70s with graying white hair. Said it was chin length, but I kind of have it behind my ears today. I wear glasses with red plastic frames, and I always wear this sunburst pendant with a moonstone in the center. Today I'm wearing kind of spring colors in a I think it's pretty patterned dress. The responsive reading this morning is the insert in your order of service, but it's been printed on both sides. We're only going to read one side. And you're going to be reading the many. So this is We Labor in Love by Amanda Eudice Kessler. On Labor Day, we honor our work, physical and mental, paid and unpaid, joyous and heartbreaking.
We give thanks for work's gifts, celebrate its difficulties, and strive to make labor just and joyous for all.
Our work can build our society, provide for material needs, and give our life meaning. Our work can damage our society and the planet, fail to sustain our material needs, and be meaningless.
We join together to create work that supports the well-being of all.
Our work can heal the world, help us understand who we are, and keep us safe. Our work can harm the world, demean us, and expose us to danger.
We join together to create work that is safe and humane.
Our work can fill our days and our lives with stories. Our work can dissatisfy and alienate us, and we may not be able to find enough work or any work.
We join together to create work that blesses us, all people, and the planet.
This Labor Day and all Labor Days to come, may our work and all work serve humanity and all living beings. I'm going to come here. No, over here. Okay.
If there are any kids here today that want to come hear the story and see the pictures closer, or any grown-ups that want to come see the pictures closer, come on down. While you're walking down, the story is called Viva's Voice, and it's by Raquel Donoso. Since the day she was born, Viva's voice had been the mightiest in the room. It boomed like an earthquake. It shook the slide on the playground. But it was especially loud at home, always overpowering Poppy's quiet voice. So in your homes, do you have a louder voice, or do the grown-ups in your home have a louder voice? Grown up? Poppy's voice was very quiet, but his job was loud. Poppy drove buses. Very big, very loud buses. 2 buses, actually, connected to make one giant snake that swerved and curled through the town. Today was Viva's first day of summer break, and she couldn't wait to spend the day with Poppy. Poppy, I'm ready to go to work with you today, Viva shouted, jumping up and down. Mija, not today, Poppy murmured. Viva, please don't bother Poppy today, said Mommy. But why? I'm on strike, and and I'm not sure when I'll go back to driving buses, Poppy said quietly. What's a strike? Asked Viva, raising her eyebrows and wrinkling her nose. I'm a part of a group of people called a union, Poppy explained. Unions help workers get treated fairly. The bus drivers want more pay and better benefits. We've decided to stop working and go on strike until we get the things that we've asked for. What do you do on a strike? Viva wondered. We go to the offices where our bosses work and hold up signs and chant. That's called a picket line. We let everyone know what we want. One voice alone may not be heard, but lots of voices together can make a big noise. Poppy, I can strike, Viva exclaimed. I know how to make lots of noise. Oh, I know you do, Viva, but this isn't a place for little kids, Poppy said. Viva hated to be told that she couldn't do something because she was little. Por favor, Poppy, I promise to listen to you and be quiet. Please, implored Viva. Remember, I'm working early today, added Mommy. Well, Poppy said, I guess that means you're coming with me. The picket line was magical. Signs bounced up and down, bright blue and red, cars passed by, honking their horns. A woman with a bullhorn chanted questions, and everyone in the crowd responded. It was music to Viva's ears. But then she noticed her Poppy. What's wrong, Poppy? Asked Viva, seeing his furrowed forehead. I have to go on stage and make a speech in front of all these people, he admitted in his quiet voice. He didn't talk much, and he definitely didn't like to yell. Even when Viva did something wrong, Poppy never raised his voice. Poppy, I'll go with you, Viva offered, squeezing his hand. Poppy let out a long, deep exhale. His forehead relaxed. With Viva nearby, Poppy found the courage to belt out his speech. The crowd's chants got louder and louder. Everyone was cheering them on. On the drive home, Viva honked Poppy's horn. The faint chants of the workers on the picket line echoed in her ears. Viva, your voice made me brave today. I wouldn't have had the courage to give that speech without you, Poppy said. Viva smiled. Poppy's words were music to her ears. All right, guys, you can go back to your seats today. We don't have classes, but we're going to sing you back to your seats.
Every month, we share our generosity with a designated organization. For the month of September, it's Valley Clean Air Now, and their initials are VCAN. And you can go, we're going to have a speaker next week talking about VCAN, but you could actually go online to and I think it's in your order of service, www.com Valley Clean Air. And actually, what I was going to say was not that, was if you go on your computer, you will see members of our church who are involved with VCAN. It's a great photo, and I see faces that I saw on that photo. And you know, all of our donations for Share the Plate are shared with that organization 50-50. So I'll be real interested to hear what they have to say next week. Our religious community is made up of volunteers and staff, creating and hosting a variety of programming. We rely on your financial support. Please take time to reflect on your ability to financially support this community. Donations by check may be mailed to the church office. Electronic donations can be made online through the church website or by texting GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following the instructions. And of course, this information is in our order of service down at the bottom. The offering will now be gratefully received to support the work, the wonder, and witness of our religious community.
In 1801, pagan all. In 1801, pagan all. In 1801, pagan shoes is all I done. Gonna lay me down my all, my pagan all. In 1802, pagan all. In 1802, pagan all. In 1802, pagan shoes is all I do. Gonna lay me down my all, my pagan all. In 1803, pagan all. In 1803, pagan all. In 1803, pagan shoes is all I see. Gonna lay me down my all, my pagan all. They've invented a new machine, pagan all. They've invented a new machine, pagan all. They've invented a new machine, prettiest thing I ever seen. I'm gonna lay me down my all, my pagan all. Pegs 100 shoes to one, pagan all. Pegs 100 shoes to one, pagan all. Pegs 100 shoes to one, pagan shoes, it ain't no fun. Gonna lay me down my all, my pagan all. In 1804, pagan all. In 1804, pagan all. In 1804, pagan shoes I do no more. Gonna lay me down my all, my pagan all. I laid me down my all, my pagan all.
This is the time that we share joys and sorrows. And then we'll have a short meditation and, we'll have silence and then a prayer of meditation. This morning I do have a joy from Craig Andrews, who has a new nephew. We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. We remember those who are experiencing losses of various kinds and those facing health challenges. May those who suffer or mourn, find peace. May those who hunger or thirst be quenched with nourishment and sated with the elixir of life. May those who have experienced violence find care and comfort and healing that comes in time. May all of us find the loving kindness that is ours to share. May we open our hearts and minds to encircle with love and care all in our community and beyond. So may it be. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be. And now I invite you into several minutes of silence, personal meditation, and prayer. Prayer for this day by Adam Slate. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of hope, Spirit of justice, God known by many different names, you have given us a day unique from any other. You have connected us, all of us, with each other and with the world in ways that are largely a mystery to us. You have given us little instruction other than to be present in our own lives and to feel wonder at the creations of the universe and to love one another. You have put gifts and challenges in our paths, joys and sorrows, strength and frailties, some of which we have already encountered, and others we have yet to discover. On this unique day, may we receive exactly what it is that we need. Amen. May it be so. Namaste. Our musical response is number 396. Please stay seated. I know this rose will open.
I know my fear will burn away. I know
reading this morning is the poem The Monster by Luis Javier Rodriguez. It erupted into our lives. Two guys in jeans shoved it through the door, heaving and grunting and biting lower lips. A large industrial sewing machine. We called it the Monster. It came on a winter's day, rented out of mother's pay. Once in the living room, the walls seemed to cave in around it. Black footsteps to our door brought heaps of cloth for Mama to sew. Noises of war burst out of the living room. Rafters rattled. Floors farted, the radio going into static each time the needle ripped into fabric. Many nights I'd get up from bed, wander squinty-eyed down the hallway and peer through a dust-covered blanket to where Mama and the Monster did a nightly battle. I could see Mama through the yellow haze of a single light bulb. She slouched over the machine, her eyes almost closed, her hair in disheveled braids, each stitch binding her life to scraps of cloth.
So the sermon I'm about to read, I feel really privileged and honored to do this. It's called Putting Labor Back in Labor Day, and it is an award-winning sermon, and it's from the Reverend Dr. David Breeden. But I thought before I started, I wanted you to know a little something about him. I know there's stuff there's an item in the order of service, but I wanted to say what I discovered. It was pretty amazing. In May of 2023, Reverend Breeden was given the Humanist Distinguished Service Award. And he, apparently to the introductions to this award, they were saying he's a self-proclaimed congregational humanist. Never heard that term before. And he is also known for his mentorship, and I loved this. One of his mentees said, "You didn't want me to fit in, you wanted me to expand. You saw in me the possibility, and I was lifted up." So, all good stuff from Dr. Breeden, and I hope I can handle this quite intense sermon. In 1935, a U.S. government truck pulled up to my grandfather's house, two-room sharecropper's shack in which 16 people lived. They were starving to death, not malnutrition, starvation. The truck brought surplus food, which on that particular visit consisted of a gallon of mustard. My father was 11 years old at the time. He and his sisters and brothers thus became the first generation of children raised on what became known as welfare. I came from a long line of poor people, part of what has come to be known as incorrigible poor. That first delivery proved to be a harbinger of things to come. These were subsistent farmers. None of them had ever seen mustard. They thought it must be what rich folks ate, so they ate it. It made them incredibly ill, so they decided that the government must be out to poison them. When I tell the story of the 19th century migration, we tend to neglect mentioning that nearly 50% of the people who moved to this country left and went back home. And then there's my family. When they got here, they wanted to go back home, but they couldn't. No money. I'm reminded of discussions about Katrina victims in New Orleans. Why didn't they just go to an ATM and get some money? Good question. Why aren't poor people grateful for their mustard goes good with roast beef? My forebears should have just gotten themselves a home equity loan and gone back, but somehow they forgot to do that. Many of you in this room have similar stories, whether you know it or not. And so 3 generations after arriving in this nation, the family was starving in a 2-room shack. My father was one of 13 children. Of that group, 3 eventually escaped poverty. So how did they escape? My father was able to join a labor union, and 2 of my aunts married men who were able to join a labor union. The rest of these children died in poverty that they had been born into. And I think about the mathematics of my family, and I can't help questioning the line about this being a land of opportunity. It seems, at least for poor people, more like a land of random chance. Their children, my first cousins, at one time, I had 64 cousins before death started weeding them out, and my cousins, for the most part, remained in the welfare system. I was 3 generations later. I still am the only one from my family ever to complete a college degree. Random chance. My father did not try harder or work harder than his brothers and sisters. I haven't tried harder or worked harder than my cousins, yet I'm the only one ever to have had a salaried rather than an hourly job. I didn't try harder or work harder to become an English professor or teaching college classes. They were working 2 and 3 jobs. Yet almost all of them will die poorer than when they were born. Random chance. Except for unions. There's a little anecdote about what works and what doesn't work. It's a little story about how working people need unions. The most effective anti-poverty program ever in the United States. The rest is handing out mustard. Why talk about poverty when you can talk about the good old days and the golden age? And some of my first memories are the bitter cold when my father marched on the picket line. Mom and Dad got worried sometime in December. They hoped there wouldn't be a strike. Usually there was, and Dad's paycheck stopped. There was a strike fund that paid those who worked the picket line, so Dad walked the picket line. My father made extra money tearing down old fences and old houses that provided firewood to burn in 55-gallon drums so the picketers can stay warm. I loved tearing down old houses as a kid. Sometimes the strikes lasted weeks, sometimes months. One lasted for 2 years. This was in the 1960s, the golden age of American labor unions. And my father was indeed fortunate to have a union job. A job that provided a living wage, some measure of safety in the workplace, a health plan, provision for overtime pay, and a pension plan. Well, it wasn't that great. We still had to count potatoes to make sure we could eat all week. But unlike both of my parents when they were kids, I never went hungry. That was the golden age of American labor. Yet sometimes we forget that those unions were mostly Euro-American male institutions. For the most part, these unions addressed one American disease, the oppression of the working-class Euro-American males. Racism and sexism had to wait. My mother worked in a factory the same years that my father did, a shirt factory, non-union. All the bosses were men and all the workers women. My mother, too, theoretically worked 8 hours a day, but she worked on a quota system. She had to sew 12 dozen shirts a day. It was an assembly line. She sewed the collars, 12 dozen a day. That pace meant no lunch break, no water breaks, and restroom breaks only under the direst of circumstances. The only time those women got to rest on company pay was when they sewed their hands into the machines, something that happened fairly often, given the fatigue of the workers. My mother got no overtime pay, no health benefits, no pension. My mother lives today in constant pain, barely able to walk due to the damage to her vertebrae from her job. She gets no disability payment, and the company that perpetrated those crimes has now moved operations to Burma, where a military regime can guarantee that no unionizing will ever take place. And another generation of women will end up just like my mom. Yet, despite the continued oppression, my parents did work in the golden age of American labor. Two people who grew up in abject poverty were able to own a car and a house, the American dream. We were able to eat, and unlike my 64 cousins, I was able to work my way through college. I benefited from the golden age of American labor. I wish I could say those were the bad old days, yet what my parents and I accomplished is even harder today. Those were not the good old days, yet it was as good as it has ever got. The American labor movement, made nominally legal by the Roosevelt government in the 1930s and most illegal by the Reagan government in the 1980s, is the best anti-poverty initiative in the United States history. Demographically speaking, many Unitarian Universalist baby boomers are much like me, with working-class parents who benefited from rising union-sponsored wages. We got educations, and the jobs our parents spent their lives doing got outsourced. Unions work because they go to the root of the poverty problem. Instead of handing out gallon jars of mustard, they help human beings get paid fairly for a day's work. That seldom happens today. Between 1979 and 2001, the earnings of the top 20% of Americans raised by 50%. The earning of the bottom 20% did not change at all. Today, the average CEO makes more money in 3 hours than a person making base wage makes all year. Each year for the past decade, 20,000 workers have been fired for just talking about unionizing. Ronald Reagan said, "We fought a poverty on war and poverty won," and I say, so we declared war on drugs and drugs won, and so we declared war on terrorism. Gallons and gallons of mustard. Somebody is making money making mustard. In the face of the tragic meltdown of the political process here in the United States, in the face of a media utterly unconcerned with the issues of justice and equity, the religious voice appears to me to be one of the last holdouts against forces such as neoliberal hyper-capitalism and globalization. To paraphrase Mac Horkheimer, without the total other, in the end, materialism triumphs. Without the total other, in the end, greed triumphs. Without the total other, in the end, the powerful win. Without the total other, the one with the pistol gets the pesos. We have a different message. The inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The anti-religious tone of much 20th century pro-labor rhetoric based on Marx's contention that religion is the opiate of the people, designed to keep us enslaved to oppressive social systems, did a great deal of damage to the labor movement in the United States because the right could use the label of godless communist for just about any proposal for social justice. I agree with Joe Hill, the long-haired preacher was out to keep the working class in their place. Religion has been and looking, and George W. Bush and the religious right still is complicit in social evil. Fortunately, the conditions that largely silenced progressive religious thought have changed, both because the Soviet Union is long gone and China is now a model capitalist state, and because some churches have come to a new understanding that decent jobs are not only a civil right, but a moral responsibility of the church. In the 1840s, when the Universalist minister Adin Ballou became convinced that the message of Jesus was a socialist and pacifist message, he left the Universalist church and became a Unitarian. In 1905, when Father Thomas J. Hagerty helped found the Industrial Workers of the World, he was defrocked by the church. Another Catholic and another member of the Industrial Workers of the World, Dorothy Day, remained Catholic, no matter what the church said about her or what she was doing. The legacy of her Catholic workers' movement probably helps more distressed human beings every day than other organizations in the world. Despite repeated attempts, she has been refused sainthood. We Unitarian Universalists have a different message, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Just as history judges the complicity of churches with racial prejudice, history will judge liberal religions from our time according to our response to the rights of the working poor. Unitarian Universalists were on the side of justice during the civil rights movement of the 1960s. We need to clearly get on the side of justice for the civil rights issue of our time. Martin Luther King preached about a trinity of evil: racial hatred, poverty, and war. Dr. King went a long way in fighting the first of those evils, but today poverty and war are alive and thriving, and it's easy to create and maintain a third world economy. It's not so easy to create a fair and equitable economy. I work with a union called United Here, a union that represents hotel workers. Allow me to mention some of the people I've gotten to know. Steve Jones works at the Chicago Marriott downtown and the Hotel Monaco. He works 40 hours a week at the Marriott. He works 40 hours a week at the Hotel Monaco. He parks cars, 2 jobs, 80 hours a week. He's poor. Marcela Reyes has a husband and 3 kids. She works at the W, one of the fanciest hotels in downtown Chicago. Miss Reyes has worked there for 12 years. She makes $9.25 an hour. She works 8 hours a day, just like my mother worked 8 hours a day. Wink, wink. On her shift, Ms. Reyes must clean 18 rooms, no matter how long it takes. And that's if nobody calls in sick. Ms. Reyes looks to me like she weighs about 90 pounds. She has to lift a Sealy Posturepedic king-size mattress by herself. Someday she's going to be just like my mother, unable to walk. Marcela Reyes is poor. The most effective anti-poverty program this nation has ever had is labor unions. The rest is passing out mustard. Pay Ms. Reyes and Mr. Jones a fair wage, and they won't be poor. And neither will their kids, and maybe their kids will get some education. This is a way to sow the seeds of worth and dignity. This is the way of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Unions are one of the few hopes for poor working people in the United States and the world. My father's job was portable. It's gone. My mother's job was portable. It's gone. Corporations are citizens of the world. People live in nation states, but some jobs are not portable. We have work to do right here at home. 80% of the jobs in North America today are service sector jobs, and these are jobs that have never been unionized. But guess what? Steve Jones's job can't be moved to Burma. Marcela Reyes's job can't be moved to China. Hotels with their fancy mattresses, their 4-star restaurants, and their napkins to fold, these can't be moved. We can fight here for the worth and dignity of every person. We can fight here for justice, equity, and compassion. 37 million working Americans live in poverty. Poor people stop being poor when they get a fair wage. Inherent worth and dignity, equity. Reflect on this. In the United States today, the average Euro-American has a net worth of $80,000. The average Hispano-American has a net worth of $8,000. That's a whole decimal point less. The average African-American has a net worth of $6,000. We can complete Dr. King's work on racial injustice issue by fighting the two evils he named. Poverty and war are issues of equity. Dorothy Day knew that when she worked with the poor, she was entertaining angels. The Dalai Lama has said dangerous consequences will follow when politicians and rulers forget moral principles. Whether we believe in God or karma, ethics is the foundation of every religion. And so our politicians have forgotten moral principles, and so dangerous consequences are following. And so the principles of Unitarian Universalism calls us to action, take action. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, the UUSC, and get information about the Wage Justice Initiative. Or join the Unitarian Universalists for a Just Economic Community, the UUJEC, and learn more about what justice and equity can mean in action. Donate to the work of Unite Here, March with Striking Workers. And when you stay in a hotel, ask management if the staff is unionized. We have a message for this nation and this world, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. So may it be. And as I said at the beginning, these were the words of Reverend Dr. David Breeden, retired Unitarian Universalist minister, served more recently as senior minister, First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. And our own Reverend Kate has an update on the Pennsylvania minimum wage law. Pennsylvania, this was shocking to me. I don't know why. Lee always says that to me. Why are you shocked, honey? Pennsylvania's current minimum wage of $7.25 is just 1 cent higher than the $7.24 poverty level guidelines set out by the Commonwealth's Department of Health and Human Services. On May 24th of this year, 2024, Senate Democratic Whip Christine M. Taglioni announced the introduction of landmark minimum wage reform legislation to create a living wage of $20 per hour for all Pennsylvanians. It's Senate Bill 1186 and was referred to Labor and Industry, chaired by State Senator Devlin Robinson, a Republican running for the re-election in the 37th District, part of Pittsburgh. Feel free to contact him about fair wage in Pennsylvania. He is literally the one holding back this critical advancement for all of us in Pennsylvania. It is important to note that Robinson is running against Democrat Nicole Rosidio, who boasts on her website her support for raising wages. And now, please stand as you are willing and able. The hymn, it might be incorrect in your order of service, but it's actually 157, hymn number 157, Step by Step, the longest march.
Step by step, the longest march can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly known, and by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn amid, singly known, step by step, the longest march can be won, many stones can form an arch, singly known, and by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn amid, singly known, step by step, the longest march can be won, many stones can form an arch, singly known, and by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn amid, singly known,
Please be seated and join with me in reading the words as we extinguish the chalice that are printed in your order of service and read at congregations throughout the country. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And for our benediction, I read the words of Jim McGaw. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace.
So before we sing this last song, I just joined the union last year, Chatham Faculty Union at Chatham University, and I really want to say thank you to the organizers who have been working in the past year to make our workplace more just and joyous for all. Unfortunately, our administration still has not recognized our right to organize and our right to be heard, and we've been in a legal battle for the past year. So this one is for all of those that have led the way and all workers everywhere.
Right on. This government had an idea, and Parliament made it law. It seems like it's illegal to fight for the union anymore. And which side are you on, loves? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, loves? Which side are you on?
We set out to join the picket line, for together we cannot fail. We got stopped by police at the county line. They said, go home, folks, or you're going to jail.
And which side are you on, loves? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, loves? Which side are you on? It's hard to explain to a crying child why her daddy can't go back. So the family suffers, but it hurts me more to hear a scab say, sawed you, Jack. And which side are you on, loves? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, loves? Which side are you on?
I'm bound to follow my conscience. I'll do whatever I can. It'll take much more than the union law to walk the fight out of working men.
And which side are you on, loves? Which side